Captain Hansu Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship moved quietly through space, hidden from the sensors of other vessels. For 3 years they had been watching a war that was tearing the galaxy apart. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. Hansu looked at his crew working at their stations. These men and women had been away from Earth for a long time. They had seen things that would shock people back home. They had watched entire worlds burn. "Captain," said Lieutenant Hyen Park from the communications station, "we're getting a transmission. It's encrypted and marked urgent." Hansu nodded. "Put it through to my ready room. Ji-won, you're with me." Lieutenant Commander Ji-won Lee followed him off the bridge. She was his tactical officer and one of the smartest people he had ever met. If anyone could make sense of what they were seeing in this war, it was her. In his ready room, Hansu activated the secure channel. The face of Admiral Minho Park appeared on the screen. The Admiral looked tired and worried. Dark circles under his eyes showed he had not been sleeping well. "Hansu," the Admiral said, "I hope this message finds you safe. I'm sending you classified information about the war situation. What I'm about to tell you cannot leave your ship." Hansu and Ji-won exchanged glances. They had been monitoring the war, but they had not received official briefings from Earth Command. "The Galactic Federation is losing," Admiral Park continued. "The Vraxan Empire has taken 17 core worlds in the past month. Their bioships are unlike anything we've seen. They don't just defeat enemy fleets. They destroy everything. Planets, space stations, civilian ships. Nothing survives." The Admiral paused and rubbed his eyes. "The Federation has asked for help from every neutral species. Most have refused. They're too scared of the Vraxans. The few who agreed to help don't have strong enough fleets to make a difference." Hansu felt his stomach tighten. He had seen the Vraxan ships through long-range sensors. They were massive, organic-looking vessels that seemed more alive than built. They moved like predators hunting prey. "The Federation is making their last stand at the Kepler defense line," the Admiral said. "They have what's left of their fleet there. Maybe 800 ships. Intelligence reports say the Vraxans are bringing 3,000 bioships to the fight." Ji-won whispered something under her breath. Hansu didn't catch the words, but he understood the feeling. "Earth Command has been debating what to do," Admiral Park continued. "Some want us to stay hidden. They think if we reveal ourselves now, the Vraxans will come for Earth next. Others believe we have a moral duty to help." The Admiral leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. "I'm not giving you orders, Hansu. Earth is too far away for real-time communication. By the time you get this message, the battle at Kepler might already be over. But I'm sending you all the intelligence we have on Vraxan tactics and technology. Do what you think is right." The screen went dark. Hansu sat back in his chair and looked at Ji-won. "What do you think?" he asked. Ji-won was quiet for a moment. She was studying the tactical data that came with the Admiral's message. Charts and numbers filled her portable screen. "The Federation is fighting the wrong war," she said finally. "Look at this. They're using formation tactics that worked against other species. Big ships, long-range weapons, honor-based combat. The Vraxans don't care about honor." She showed him a recording of a recent battle. Vraxan bioships swarmed a Federation fleet like insects. They didn't fight ship to ship. They attacked in groups, overwhelming individual vessels with sheer numbers. "The Federation ships are trying to fight fair," Ji-won continued. "But the Vraxans fight to win. They target civilian evacuation ships. They use biological weapons that eat through ship hulls. They don't take prisoners." Hansu studied the data. The Vraxan Empire was led by creatures that looked like giant reptiles. They believed all other species were inferior. To them, this war was not about territory or resources. It was about proving they were the strongest species in the galaxy. "Captain," Ji-won said, "the Federation doesn't know how to fight an enemy like this." "But we do," she was right. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had learned hard lessons about survival against stronger enemies. They knew how to adapt, how to use surprise, how to turn enemy strength into weakness. "Call a senior staff meeting," Hansu said. An hour later, the department heads gathered in the conference room. Besides Ji-won, there was Chief Engineer Donghyun Nam, Dr. Yeona Shin from the Science Department, Commander Taewon Choi, who ran the weapons systems, and Major Jihoon Bae, who led the ship's marine unit. Hansu explained the situation. He showed them the Admiral's message and the tactical data about the war. "Earth Command is leaving the decision up to us," he said. We can continue our mission of observation, or we can reveal ourselves and join the fight. How many people are we talking about? Asked Dr. Shin. How many will die if the Federation falls? Jiwon pulled up population numbers. The Federation has 137 member worlds. Total population is about 40 billion. The Vraxans don't seem to take prisoners or allow surrenders. The room was quiet. 40 billion lives was hard to imagine. What can one ship do against 3,000? Asked Dongyun. Maybe nothing, Hansu admitted. But maybe we can teach them something. Show them how humans fight. Commander Choi spoke up. The Vraxan bioships have a weakness. Dr. Shin and I have been studying the sensor data. They're controlled by neural clusters, like a brain. If you damage the right spots, the whole ship becomes confused. Dr. Shin nodded. The Federation has been targeting the ship's weapons and engines. Human tactics would be different. We'd go for the brain. Major Bay leaned forward. Sir, my Marines have been training for boarding actions. These bioships are big, but they're still ships. We can fight inside them. Hansu looked around the table. These people had become his family over the long months in space. He would not order them into battle. This had to be their choice. We vote, he said. All in favor of going to Kepler and joining the fight? Every hand went up. Hansu smiled for the first time in days. Then let's go show the galaxy how humans go to war. The USS Blackstar changed course, heading for the Kepler defense line at maximum speed. Behind them, Earth was far away. Ahead of them was a battle that would decide the fate of billions. But they were no longer just observers. They were going to fight. The USS Blackstar dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. Captain Hansu Kim stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display show hundreds of ships, gathered near the system's fourth planet. Report, he said. I'm reading 812 Federation vessels, said Jiwon Lee from her station. They're formed up in a defensive line around the planet. Standard Federation battle formation. Hansu could see the problem immediately. The Federation ships were arranged in neat rows like soldiers on a parade ground. It looked impressive, but it was not how you fought a war. Any sign of the Vraxan fleet? He asked. Not yet, sir, replied Hien Park from communications, but I'm picking up a lot of chatter on Federation channels. They're expecting contact soon. Hansu made his decision. Open a channel to the Federation fleet. All frequencies. The main screen showed the Federation formation. Most of the ships were white and silver with smooth curves. They looked beautiful and peaceful. They did not look like warships. Federation fleet, this is Captain Hansu Kim of the Terran vessel USS Blackstar. We are here to offer assistance. The response came quickly. A tall blue-skinned alien appeared on the screen. She wore a military uniform covered in medals and rank insignia. This is Admiral Suraveltar of the Galactic Federation. I do not recognize your ship type or your species. Please identify yourself properly. Hansu smiled. We are humans from the planet Earth. We have been observing the war and wish to help. Admiral Veltar looked confused. Humans, there is no species called humans in our databases, and we have no record of a planet called Earth. We're new to galactic politics, Hansu said, but we're not new to war. Before the Admiral could respond, warning alarms began sounding on Federation ships. New contacts were appearing on sensors. Lots of them. Vraxan fleet incoming, someone shouted over the comm channels. Multiple contacts. Estimate 3,000 plus vessels. The Vraxan bioships came out of hyperspace like a swarm of angry insects. They were dark and twisted, with surfaces that looked like they were alive. Some ships had tentacles. Others had what looked like teeth. All of them radiated menace. Admiral Veltar's attention switched from the humans to the immediate threat. All ships, prepare for battle. Maintain formation. Hansu watched the Federation fleet try to organize itself. Their ships moved slowly into position. Everything was done by the book, according to military doctrine that was probably centuries old. The Vraxan ships did not wait for the Federation to get ready. They attacked immediately. The bioships moved like living creatures flowing around the Federation formation like water around rocks. They did not attack head-on. Instead, they swarmed individual Federation vessels surrounding them and tearing them apart. Captain, said Commander Taewon Choi from the weapons station. The Federation ships are targeting the wrong parts of those bioships. They're hitting armor and weapons, but the neural clusters are deeper inside. Dr. Yona Shin looked up from her science station. The bioships use organic neural networks, like a brain spread throughout the ship. If you hit the right nerve clusters, you can paralyze the entire vessel. Hansu nodded. Taewon, target the neural clusters. Jaewon, take us into the fight. The USS Blackstar accelerated toward the battle. It was much smaller than most of the ships fighting, but it moved faster and more smoothly than anything else in space. The first Vraxan bioship the Blackstar engaged was 3 times larger. It had multiple weapon ports and thick armored skin. It turned toward the human ship like a predator spotting prey. The bioship fired first. Purple energy beams that looked like living lightning reached out toward the Blackstar. But the human ship was already moving, sliding sideways and spinning to avoid the attack. Commander Choi fired back. The Blackstar's weapons were different from Federation technology. Instead of trying to punch through the bioship's armor, they sent focused energy pulses directly into the creature's nerve centers. The effect was immediate. The massive bioship shuddered and went still. Its weapons stopped firing. It began to drift helplessly. Direct hit to the central neural cluster, reported Dr. Shin. The ship is paralyzed but not destroyed. Across the battlefield, Federation officers watched in amazement. The small unknown ship had just disabled a Vraxan bioship with a single shot, something that had never been done before. How are they doing that? Admiral Veltar asked her tactical officer. Unknown, Admiral. Their weapons seem to be targeting specific points on the bioships. Internal systems, not external armor. The USS Blackstar moved to its next target. This time, 3 bioships tried to surround it. They moved in a coordinated pattern, trying to trap the human vessel between them. But Captain Kim had fought in the asteroid wars around Jupiter. He knew how to fight multiple enemies in 3-dimensional space. The Blackstar dropped below the attacking bioships, then came up behind them while they were still looking for it. 2 more bioships went dead in space. The Vraxan fleet began to react to this new threat. A group of 20 bioships broke off from attacking Federation vessels and headed for the Blackstar. Captain, said Ji-won, we're about to get a lot of attention. Good, Hansu replied. Every ship that's chasing us is not killing Federation civilians. The Blackstar led the pursuing bioships on a chase through the battle. It moved between Federation vessels, using them for cover. The bioships followed, but they were not as agile as the human ship. As they chased the Blackstar, the pursuing bioships exposed their vulnerable neural clusters to Federation weapons. A few Federation captains were smart enough to take advantage, scoring hits on the nerve centers just as the humans had shown them. More bioships began to go dark. The tide of battle was changing. For the first time since the war began, Vraxan ships were being destroyed faster than they could destroy Federation vessels. But the humans had attracted too much attention. A massive bioship, larger than any other, moved toward the Blackstar. This one was different. It had more armor, more weapons, and its neural patterns were more complex. That's a command ship, said Dr. Shin. It's got a Vraxan war leader on board. The command ship fired everything it had at the Blackstar. The human ship's shields flared and sparked under the assault. Shields down to 60%, reported Donghyun Nam from engineering. Hansu made a quick decision. Taewon, full power to weapons. Target the command ship's primary neural cluster. 1 shot. The Blackstar's main gun charged up, drawing power from every other system on the ship. For a moment, the human vessel went dark except for the weapon. Then it fired. The energy beam struck the command ship directly in its central nerve cluster. The massive bioship convulsed like a dying animal, then went completely still. Across the Vraxan fleet, other bioships began to slow down and become confused. The command ship had been coordinating their attacks. Without it, they were just individual predators with no plan. The Federation fleet, inspired by what they had seen, pressed their attack. They began targeting neural clusters instead of armor. Vraxan bioships that had seemed invincible began falling in large numbers. Within 2 hours, the surviving Vraxan ships retreated into hyperspace. The Battle of Kepler was over. The Federation had won their first major victory of the war. Admiral Veltar opened a channel to the USS Blackstar. Captain Kim, I believe we need to talk. News of the victory at Kepler spread across the galaxy faster than light. For the first time in 3 years, the Vraxan Empire had been defeated in a major battle. But the victory came with questions that made many species nervous. Who were these humans? Where had they come from? And why were they so good at killing? In his throne room on the Vraxan homeworld, Emperor Vorthak Prime studied reports of the battle. The massive reptilian ruler was 8 feet tall and covered in natural armor. His eyes glowed red with anger. "Explain to me," he hissed to his war leader, "how a single unknown ship destroyed my fleet." The war leader, a smaller, but still impressive Vraxan, kept his head low. "Great Emperor, the aliens fought unlike any species we have encountered. They seem to understand our bioships better than we do." Emperor Vorthak struck the war leader with one clawed hand, sending him sprawling across the floor. "Impossible. Our bioships are perfect weapons. No inferior species can match Vraxan superiority." But deep down, the Emperor was worried. The Vraxan Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds by convincing other species that they were unstoppable. If word spread that they could be defeated, rebellions would start on every conquered planet. "Find out everything about these humans," the Emperor ordered, "and prepare the Grand Fleet. If one human ship could do this much damage, we must crush their entire species before they become a real threat." Meanwhile, aboard the USS Blackstar, Captain Hansu Kim was dealing with his own problems. The Federation wanted to know everything about human military capabilities. Earth Command wanted to know why he had revealed humanity's existence without permission, and his crew was exhausted from the constant attention. "Captain," said Lieutenant Hien Park, "we're getting communication requests from 47 different species. Everyone wants to meet the humans who defeated the Vraxans." Hansu rubbed his temples. He had a headache that would not go away. "Any word from Earth?" "Yes, sir. Admiral Sun Wukong is coming with a small task force. 5 ships. They'll be here in 3 days. That was good news, at least. Admiral Kang was one of Earth's best military minds. If anyone could figure out how to handle this situation, it was her." Dr. Yona Shin entered the bridge carrying a datapad. "Captain, I've been analyzing the Vraxan bioships we disabled. The neural patterns are fascinating. These ships are actually semi-intelligent. They can learn and adapt." "Meaning what?" Hansu asked. "Meaning our tactics won't work forever. The next time we fight them, they'll be ready for neural cluster attacks." Jiwan Li looked up from her tactical station. "Then we need to teach the Federation how to fight before the Vraxans adapt." That afternoon, Hansu met with Admiral Sura Veltar aboard her flagship. The Federation admiral was still trying to understand what had happened at Kepler. "Your species has been watching our war for 3 years, she said. "Why did you wait so long to help?" Hansu considered his answer carefully. "We wanted to understand the situation before we acted. Humans have learned that rushing into conflicts without knowledge often makes things worse." "And what did you learn?" "That the Federation is fighting the war the Vraxans want you to fight. Big fleets, formal battles, honorable tactics. But the Vraxans don't care about honor. They care about winning." Admiral Veltar looked uncomfortable. The Federation prided itself on civilized warfare. The idea of abandoning their principles was hard to accept. "What do you suggest?" she asked. "Let us teach your officers human tactics, not just how to target bioship weaknesses, but how to think like humans in combat." 3 days later, Admiral Sun Wukong arrived with the Earth Task Force. Her flagship, the USS Yorktown, was larger than the Blackstar and clearly built for war. The other 4 ships were destroyers designed for fast strikes and quick retreats. Admiral Kang was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had commanded Earth's defense forces for 10 years and had never lost a battle. "Hansu," she said when they met in private, "Earth Command is not happy with you, but they're also not stupid. The situation has changed. We can't hide anymore." "What are our orders?" Hansu asked. "We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to teach the galaxy a new way to fight." Over the next few weeks, human officers worked with Federation crews. They showed them how to use surprise attacks, how to target enemy supply lines, and how to fight as small units instead of massive fleets. Commander Taewon Choi worked with Federation weapons officers, teaching them to think of enemy ships as living creatures with vital organs, not just collections of armor and guns. Major Ji-hoon Bae trained Federation Marines in close-quarters combat. The aliens were shocked by human fighting techniques that used everything from martial arts to psychological warfare. Chief Engineer Dong Yun Nam showed Federation engineers how to modify their ships for hit-and-run attacks instead of prolonged battles. The changes were remarkable. Federation officers who had been fighting a losing war for 3 years suddenly began winning small engagements against Vraxan scouting forces. But the real test came when a Vraxan battle group attacked the mining colony at Centaura Prime. Instead of sending a massive fleet to defend the planet, Admiral Kang used human tactics. She sent small groups of ships to attack the Vraxan fleet from multiple directions, while the bioships were confused and trying to respond to attacks from all sides. Human and Federation Marines landed on the planet and began fighting a guerrilla war against Vraxan ground forces. The Vraxans had never faced anything like it. Their ground troops were used to overwhelming inferior enemies with superior firepower. But the human-trained Federation forces used the planet's terrain against them, setting ambushes and disappearing before the Vraxans could respond. After 2 weeks of constant harassment, the Vraxan commander decided the planet was not worth the losses and retreated. News of the victory spread across Federation space. For the first time since the war began, a Vraxan occupation force had been driven away from a conquered world. On dozens of planets, resistance groups began forming. Species that had surrendered to the Vraxans started fighting back, using tactics they learned from intercepted Federation communications. Emperor Vorthak Prime realized the situation was getting out of control. These humans were not just defeating his fleets. They were teaching other species to fight like humans. If this continued, the entire empire would face rebellions on every world. Prepare the Grand Fleet, he ordered his war leaders. All of it. Every bioship in the empire. We will find this Earth and destroy it completely. The Emperor's plan was simple and brutal. He would take 3,000 of his best bioships to Earth and destroy the human homeworld. Without their planet, the humans would have nowhere to retreat to. And the galaxy would see what happened to species that challenged Vraxan supremacy. But Emperor Vorthak had made a mistake. He assumed humans would fight like other species, trying to protect their homeworld with everything they had. He did not understand that humans had been preparing for invasion since they first looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. Admiral? Kang smiled when she received the intelligence report about the Vraxan Grand Fleet heading for Earth. They're coming to us, she told Captain Kim. Perfect. Now we can show them how humans defend their home. Emperor Vorthak Prime stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching Earth grow larger on the screen. The human home world looked peaceful from space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It seemed almost defenseless. Scan the system, he ordered his war leaders. Show me their pathetic defenses. The Vraxan sensors swept through the Sol system. They detected a few hundred human ships scattered around the planets. Most were near Earth itself, formed in what looked like a desperate defensive line. 347 enemy vessels, reported the scanning officer. Compared to our 3,000 bioships, they cannot hope to resist us. Emperor Vorthak smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Exactly as I expected. These humans may be clever, but they are still inferior. Begin the attack. The massive Vraxan Grand Fleet moved toward Earth like a dark cloud. Bioships that looked like sea monsters, giant insects, and twisted serpents filled space around the blue planet. On Earth, Admiral Sun Wukang watched from the command center buried deep under the Korean peninsula. Around her, officers from every nation worked together, coordinating the defense of their world. Vraxan fleet is approaching the outer defense perimeter, reported Colonel Min Ji-yu. All stations report ready. Admiral Kang nodded. Begin Operation Hornet's Nest. What happened next surprised the Vraxan Emperor. Instead of rushing to defend Earth, the human ships scattered. Some headed for the asteroid belt. Others moved toward Jupiter and its moons. Still others simply disappeared using stealth technology the Vraxans had never seen before. Where are they going? Demanded Emperor Vorthak. Are they abandoning their homeworld? His tactical officer studied the displays. Unknown, Great Emperor. They appear to be retreating to defensive positions throughout the system. Cowards, the Emperor snarled. Then we will destroy their planet and hunt them down afterward. The Grand Fleet moved closer to Earth, but as they approached, strange things began happening. Asteroids that had looked normal suddenly came alive with weapon emplacements. What the Vraxans had thought were space rocks were actually disguised defense platforms, built into real asteroids and powered down until needed. The first wave of bioships found themselves flying through a minefield of hidden weapons. Laser cannons and missile launchers emerged from asteroids all around them, firing from every direction. Defensive positions in the asteroid belt, shouted a Vraxan officer. They turned the asteroids into weapons. Emperor Vorthak was furious but not worried. He had brought 3,000 ships. Even if the humans had some clever defenses, they could not stop his entire fleet. "Continue the attack," he ordered. "Destroy everything." The bioships pressed forward, accepting losses from the asteroid defenses. But as they moved deeper into the system, more surprises awaited them. Jupiter's moons suddenly revealed themselves to be armed fortresses. Europa, Ganymede, Io, and Callisto had been turned into massive weapon platforms, hidden under their natural surfaces. When the Vraxan ships came within range, the moons opened fire with weapons that had been charging for hours. The energy beams that emerged from Jupiter's moons were unlike anything in the Vraxan arsenal. They were powered by the gas giant's own magnetic field, turned into a weapon by human engineering. Dozens of bioships died in the first volley, but the Vraxans kept coming. They had enough ships to absorb losses and still overwhelm Earth's defenses. Emperor Vorthak ordered his fleet to split up and attack from multiple directions. That was when the human fleet revealed itself. Captain Su Hyun, Lim of the USS Gettysburg, led the first strike force out of the shadow of Saturn. Her ships had been hiding behind the ringed planet, using its radiation to mask their presence. The human warships were different from anything the Federation used. They were built for speed and firepower, designed by people who understood that in space, the first rule of survival was not to be where the enemy expected you to be. Commander Jae-hyun-oh led a squadron of destroyers in a lightning attack on the Vraxan left flank. His ships moved like fighters, too fast for the bioships to target effectively. But the humans were not just using superior tactics. They were using superior technology. During their years of watching the war, human scientists had captured and studied damaged Vraxan bioships. Dr. Yeona Shin had learned how to turn the bioships' own organic systems against them. Human weapons now carried computer viruses designed specifically for organic neural networks. When a human missile hit a bioship, it did not just explode. It infected the ship's nervous system with electronic diseases that spread throughout the creature. Bioships began turning on each other as their neural networks became corrupted. Some simply shut down. Others went mad and started attacking their own fleet. Emperor Vorthak watched his grand fleet begin to fall apart. This was not how warfare was supposed to work. The strongest species was supposed to win. But these humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. "They are using our own ships against us," he said in disbelief. His war leader nodded grimly. "The humans seem to understand our biotechnology better than we do, Great Emperor." But the Emperor was not ready to retreat. He still had over 2,000 ships, and Earth was right in front of him. "All ships, direct assault on the human homeworld," he ordered. "Ignore everything else. Destroy their planet." The remaining bioships rushed toward Earth, accepting losses from the system's defenses. They were going to ram the planet if necessary, turning it into a dead rock. But Earth had one more surprise. As the bioships approached the blue planet, they detected massive energy readings coming from the surface. Every major city on Earth was powering up weapons that the Vraxans had not known existed. The humans had not just militarized space around their world. They had turned the planet itself into a weapon. Orbital defense platforms rose from hidden silos. Energy cannons that drew power from Earth's core emerged from mountains and ocean floors. The entire planet became a fortress, bristling with weapons that had been built and hidden over decades. The bioships that reached Earth's atmosphere found themselves flying through the most concentrated defensive fire in galactic history. The humans had learned from every siege in their violent past, from ancient city walls to orbital bombardments. Major Jihoon Bey led boarding parties against bioships that managed to land on Earth's surface. His Marines moved through the organic corridors of the alien vessels like antibodies fighting an infection, using the bioships' own systems against them. The battle raged for 3 days. When it was over, Emperor Vorthak Prime found himself commanding fewer than 200 ships out of the 3,000 he had brought to Earth. Worse, he was surrounded. Human fleets had moved to cut off his retreat routes. Admiral Kang's voice came over the communication channels. "Emperor Vorthak," she said calmly, "you are defeated. Surrender now and your remaining ships will be spared." The Emperor had never been offered terms of surrender before. In Vraxan culture, defeat meant death or slavery. The idea that an enemy would show mercy was alien to him. "Never," he snarled. "The Vraxan Empire does not surrender to inferior species." "Then you will die here," Admiral Kang replied. "Your choice. Emperor Vorthak looked around his command deck. His officers were watching him, waiting for orders. Many looked scared. They had never seen their emperor defeated before. For the first time in his life, Emperor Vorthak Prime felt something he had never experienced. Doubt. These humans had turned his greatest strength against him. They had made his bioships into weaknesses. They had fought a war unlike anything in galactic history. Maybe, he thought, they were not inferior after all. But pride would not let him surrender. All ships, he ordered, prepare for final assault. The remaining bioships gathered around the Emperor's flagship for one last attack on Earth. But before they could move, something unexpected happened. Several bioships broke formation and moved away from the fleet. Their crews were surrendering separately, unwilling to die for an emperor who had led them into disaster. Within an hour, half of the remaining Vraxan ships had surrendered. The others, still loyal to their emperor, made their final attack. It lasted less than 30 minutes. When it was over, Emperor Vorthak Prime was a prisoner aboard a human ship, and the Vraxan Grand Fleet no longer existed. The war was over. But the galaxy would never be the same. The prison cell where Emperor Vorthak Prime was held looked nothing like a Vraxan dungeon. It was clean, well lit, and comfortable. The former ruler of half the galaxy sat on a simple chair, staring at the walls in confusion. Captain Hansu Kim entered the cell carrying 2 cups of tea. He set one cup on the table near the Emperor and sat down with the other. "You're going to poison me?" Vorthak asked. "It's just tea," Hansu replied. "Green tea from Earth. I thought you might like to try something from our world." The Emperor stared at the cup suspiciously. "Why haven't you executed me?" "In Vraxan culture, defeated leaders are killed immediately." Hansu sipped his tea. "Because we're not Vraxans. Humans believe that even enemies can change if given the chance." "Change?" Vorthak's voice was filled with confusion. "What do you mean?" Before Hansu could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Not battle alarms, communication alerts. Lieutenant Hien Park's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, we're receiving messages from Vraxan worlds throughout the Empire. You need to see this." Hansu stood up. "Come with me," he told the Emperor. "You should see what's happening to your empire." They went to the bridge where the main screen showed a map of Vraxan space. Red dots marked planets in rebellion. There were hundreds of them. "It started 3 days ago," explained Jiwan Li. "Vraxan civilians on the outer worlds heard about your defeat. They began demanding changes in how the Empire is run." Dr. Yona Shin looked up from her science station. "It's not just civilians. Many Vraxan military officers are refusing orders from the homeworld. They're saying the war was wrong." Emperor Vorthak stared at the display in shock. "Impossible. Vraxans do not rebel against authority." "Actually," said Dr. Shin, "they do. We've been studying your species during the war. Vraxans have strong pack instincts, but they also have individual consciousness. Your empire suppressed that individuality for so long that many Vraxans forgot they had choices." Ambassador Yoonji Chai appeared on the screen via subspace communication. She was Earth's first official diplomat to the galaxy, working from the Federation capital. "Captain Kim," she said, "I need to brief you on the political situation. The Federation Council is meeting an emergency session. They want to know what humans plan to do with the defeated Vraxan Empire." "What are our options?" Hansu asked. "Several Federation members want to break up the Empire completely, divide Vraxan space between the member species. Others want to occupy Vraxan worlds to prevent future wars." Emperor Vorthak listened to this discussion with growing alarm. "You're going to destroy my people?" Hansu turned to him. "That's not the human way. We believe in something called self-determination. The right of people to choose their own government." "I don't understand." Ambassador Chai continued her briefing. "The humans have proposed something unprecedented, Your Majesty. They want to help the Vraxan people establish a democratic government. They're calling it the Vraxan Confederacy." "Democracy?" Vorthak's voice cracked. "Ruled by the weak? By civilians who know nothing of war?" "Rule by everyone," Hansu corrected, "including former soldiers who know the true cost of war." Over the following weeks, human advisors worked with Vraxan rebels to establish new governments on dozens of worlds. It was not easy. Many Vraxans had never made decisions for themselves. They had always followed orders from above. But some Vraxans adapted quickly to the idea of freedom. War leader Korthax, who had served under Emperor Vorthak, became one of the strongest voices for democracy. He had seen too many young Vraxans die in pointless battles. "The Emperor told us we were superior," he said in a broadcast of Vraxan worlds. "But superior beings do not need to prove themselves by destroying others. Superior beings help others become better." Dr. Kyung-hee Seo, Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, established exchange programs between human and Vraxan universities. Young Vraxans who had been raised to believe in their species' superiority learned about human history, how humans had fought wars among themselves for thousands of years before learning to cooperate. "Your species is not unique in its capacity for violence," she told a group of young Vraxan students, "but you are unique in your opportunity to choose a different path." Meanwhile, Captain Han-Soo Kim found himself commanding the USS Blackstar on a very different mission. Instead of fighting, they were exploring the galaxy beyond Federation space, looking for new worlds and new species to befriend. "It's strange," he told Jiwan Li as they stood on the bridge, watching a beautiful nebula drift past their ship. "A year ago we were hidden observers. Now we're ambassadors to the galaxy. Do you miss the fighting?" Jiwan asked. Han-Soo considered the question. "No, fighting was something we had to do. This is something we choose to do." The transformation of the galaxy was not without problems. Some Vraxan worlds refused to accept the new order and declared independence as military dictatorships. A few Federation species worried that humans were becoming too powerful and might replace the Vraxan Empire with a human one. But most of the galaxy welcomed the changes. For the first time in centuries, species could develop without fear of conquest. Trade routes that had been controlled by the Vraxans opened to everyone. Scientific cooperation replaced military competition. Emperor Vorthak Prime, after months of conversations with human philosophers and historians, made an unexpected announcement. In a message broadcast to all remaining Vraxan loyalists, he formally abdicated his throne and endorsed the Democratic Confederacy. "I was taught that strength came from dominance," he said. "But these humans have shown me that true strength comes from cooperation. I hereby dissolve the Vraxan Empire and call upon all Vraxans to join their Confederate brothers in building a better future." The announcement shocked both supporters and enemies of the old empire. Many expected it to cause chaos. Instead, it accelerated the peaceful transition to the new government. Admiral Sun Wukang, promoted to head of the new Galactic Defense Force, worked with species throughout the galaxy to establish principles of interstellar law. The concepts were radical by galactic standards but simple to humans. The right of species to govern themselves, protection of civilian populations during conflicts, and proportional response to aggression. "We're not trying to impose human values on the galaxy," she explained to the Galactic Council. "We're trying to establish universal values that protect everyone." The USS Blackstar continued its exploration mission, but it was no longer alone. The ship had become a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. Young people of dozens of species applied to serve aboard human vessels, wanting to learn about the species that had changed everything. Commander Taewon Choi, now training officers from 12 different species in human tactical doctrine, often reflected on how much had changed. "We came here to observe," he told his mixed species class. "We ended up teaching. But the most important lesson we learned was that we could learn from everyone else too." Dr. Yeona Shin established the first Galactic Institute for Biological Studies, where scientists from hundreds of worlds worked together to understand life in all its forms. The research station was built near Earth, but it welcomed students and researchers from across the galaxy. 10 years after the Battle of Sol, Captain Han-Soo Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Enterprise, humanity's first joint species vessel. His crew included former Vraxan warriors, Federation scientists, and even a few members of species that had been neutral during the war. "Captain," said his communications officer, a young Vraxan named Korveth, "we're receiving a distress call from the Andromeda system. Unknown alien vessels are attacking a research station." Han-Soo smiled. After all these years, there were still new challenges to face, but now humanity faced them as part of a galactic community, not as isolated observers. "Set course for Andromeda," he ordered. "Maximum speed." As the Enterprise jumped to hyperspace, Han-Soo reflected on how much the galaxy had changed. The Vraxan Empire was now the Vraxan Confederacy, a democracy that worked alongside former enemies. The Federation had become the Galactic Alliance, representing thousands of species across the galaxy. War still existed, but it was no longer the default solution to problems. Trade and diplomacy had replaced conquest and domination. Young people throughout the galaxy grew up believing that cooperation was normal, and war was the exception. But perhaps the most important change was philosophical. The galaxy had learned that no species was inherently superior or inferior. Every civilization had something to offer, and every civilization had something to learn. The humans had taught the galaxy how to fight. But more importantly, they had taught the galaxy how to choose when not to fight. As the Enterprise raced toward its new mission, Captain Kim knew that whatever they found in the Andromeda system, they would face it together. Humans were no longer alone in the galaxy, and the galaxy was no longer afraid of itself. The stars stretched out ahead of them full of possibilities and new friends yet to be made.